Hello Tube Dwellers and welcome. I'm the Arcadean and this is Duel of Summoners. So today we're looking at a card that's rapidly becoming one of my favorite creature cards in the new Duel of Summoners meta, Hunter Rigette. Rigette. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, so if you're Italian, as I assume the name is, comment below, let me know exactly how you're supposed to pronounce that name. Anyway, she's really good. So let's take a look at today's deck. Alright, as you can see from an initial glance, it's a bit of an eclectic one. We've got a lot of low-cost cards, a lot of high-cost cards, not really anything in the middle, and a distinct lack of spell removal, which is unusual for me, but all will be made clear. So first of all, we're using the L hero. You pretty much have to these days in order to just make sure that your opponent doesn't do any Gates of Hell shenanigans or brings out any resurrection stuff or Peria, Feathers of the Phoenix, all that kind of nonsense. Also, if your opponent has a hidden spider and they discard it into the grave, L can actually bring it right back out again, which is really useful for shutting that down. Okay, so let's take a look at the deck itself. First of all, Paralyzing Bullet, excellent one-cost removal spell and really good for shutting down large attack value creatures for just that extra turn that you might need to either survive or remove them. Skeleton, standard one-drop darkness creature, gotta have that in there. And Goblin Bomb Squad, of course, the ubiquitous card for everything that runs gold. Excellent defense, good attack value, just an all-round excellent utility card. Goblin Shredder is here to remove the ubiquitous nature creatures like Elf and Fox and so on and so forth, and can also be used to take care of the low HP minions such as Fairy and such. Next up we have Dragon's Guardian, another excellent utility creature. Really puts your opponent into a bit of an awkward situation. If they remove it with melee or spell, then you get gold off it. It's a bit tricky. However, she is extremely vulnerable to Goblin Shredder, so if your opponent is running gold, just be careful about when you place her. Our second and final removal card, Hunt, of course. If you're running nature, you pretty much got to have that in there. And Ifrit, again utility, and this is kind of the theme of this deck, is that it's all utility, all kind of no-win situation for your opponent. So Ifrit, good attack value, decent HP, really nice removal ability, and of course a kind of a nuke if she gets removed, which is really nice. Next up, Jack, utility creature, surprise, surprise. Really useful for shutting down Magician Masked Field because Anna is always summoned with 6 attack or higher, so Jack just immediately shuts that down. As well as obviously being really useful for shutting down any large creatures or creatures with large attack values that your opponent may bring out. Next up, Hellhound, another removal card, utility card I should say, much like Ifrit, good attack value, decent HP, used predominantly for its area of effect removal ability, but if it does manage to survive, it can do a decent amount of damage. Next up, Hunter Rigette, well, just kidding, we keep calling her Rigette. Really useful card in the current meta. She doesn't meet HP breakpoints, so if your opponent is running nature, always place Rigette next to a friendly creature. If your opponent is running light, always make sure that she's placed in front of an enemy creature to protect against hunt and surprise attack respectively, and so on and so forth. So be careful about where you place her and when, but once she's on the board, she's really disruptive. And in case you don't know, returns to the hand upon successfully killing a creature with its ability does refund her entire cost, and she goes back to the hand, which means she does not generate grave cost. So you could just keep playing her for free, basically. Really powerful. Next up is Capture, just to deal with those big creatures that we may want on our side of the field or out of the way of an attacker. And finally, Magician Masked Field, who synergizes, of course, really well with Rigette. Place her at, say, level 2. She kills something, she comes back into the hand, refunds the cost. You can use the extra darkness now to summon Magician Masked Field out onto your battlefield. Really powerful. So, as you can see, this deck is predominantly utility. It's kind of a control combo deck in a lot of ways. A lot of answers, but you need to be really careful about positioning and timing. Nevertheless, the capability of this deck to swing a battle is pretty much unparalleled. It's been one of the best at just completely turning a battle around in my experience so far with Duel of Summoners. So, in order to illustrate that fact, I have here a bunch of cards. what I am going to do is for level 1 in the upcoming battle, I am going to draw a card. So draw, let's say Jack would be card number 11. So ace is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jack and queen, and king means I charge. Okay, so for the first level, I'm just going to pull cards up until I'm capable of leveling up, at which point I will, and then I will start playing properly. Just to show you that you can play extremely badly in the first part of the game and still completely swing it around in your favor. At least I hope that's how it's going to work. If this turns out to be a crushing defeat on my behalf, it's going to be a little bit embarrassing. Nevertheless, I have committed to it, so let's do it. Roll battle. I don't know, let's just... Sparta! Okay, here we go. Ooh, Nergigante, Monster Hunter. I love it. Hello. All right, and we pull our first card, which is a king. So we're going to charge up. It's not too bad because they didn't play anything. Let's see what they do. They drop an imp. Okay, we pull a ace, number 1, which is... Oh boy, paralyzing bullet. That's great. I mean, Golden Bomb Squad would have been a little bit nicer, but, you know, so it goes. Okay, so the imp comes out, and because she discarded, there's a hidden spider. Lovely jubbly. Oh boy. Okay, our next card is going to be 8. All right, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hellhound. Well, that's not terrible. We could put Hellhound in front of the imp. That would kill the imp, damage a hidden spider. That would give us more damage on the field than the hidden spider has. So it's not too awful. And we can level up to our next turn. Okay, so we used a removal spell that we really shouldn't have used. Rather, the Hellhound comes out, gets removed for less than its cost. The hidden spider's been doing a lot of damage, so we are in a bad situation. We haven't done any damage to our opponent. They're 7 HP ahead of us. So, yeah, we had a really bad level 1. Thanks, cards. So let's charge up and see where it goes. It goes into nature. That's, yeah, so it goes. We'll drop the Goblin Shredder, I think, in front of the Hidden Spider. Or the Dragon's Guardian. Let's do the Dragon's Guardian, actually, because Nergigante doesn't have anything that can really deal with the Dragon's Guardian. Hellhound on her own part would just leave the Dragon's Guardian potentially open to the Hidden Spider. That actually wouldn't even kill regardless of the combo. Dark Elf Archer comes out. That's no big deal. We can put a Goblin Bomb Squad in front. That's even removal, if I remember correctly, the Dark Elf's cost. So we'll do this. Dragon's Guardian's going to hit the Hidden Spider. That's going to stay in the grave. We could revive to bring it back out, but there's not really any issues with that. Oh, she revived herself anyway, it doesn't matter. But I was going to say, there's no real issue with keeping the Hidden Spider in the grave since we don't really have any... Well, we have 1 removal spell, put it that way. And we don't really need it. So the Dark Elf Archer is going to kill the Golden Bomb Squad and kill itself in the process. Skeleton comes out. Let's level up, I think. We don't want to play anything just yet. I mean, we could play the Hunt, but... And we'll bring out Rigette. We're going to take the Skeleton's damage. We're not too worried about that. Placing her next to the Dragon's Guardian, of course, to protect against Hunt. Now, let's see how Nergigante, the Monster Hunter World, yeah. Let's see how she deals with it. And right here you can see what Rigette does to the flow of the battle. So Nergigante's been playing well, been playing, smoothly so far, but the second Rigette comes out, just boom, what exactly do you do? She can't use Firewall because that won't kill. So she goes for Rigette. Expensive. We could capture her back. Is that the best choice? Probably yes. So let's capture her back. So once again, Nergigante can't bring out Firewall because it's not going to kill Rigette, and it would give us, well, at the time it would have given us some gold off the Dragon's Guardian. Having used the capture, she could remove the Dragon's Guardian now with a single target mana spell, which would probably be her best bet. You can see she's got all that mana there, and we know that she has mana creatures, and yet can't play them. So out comes a Bullet of Illusion. That's, yep, that's fine. Down goes the Dragon's Guardian. Doesn't give us anything, but that's okay. It was pretty much an even resource trade. Alright, so we'll charge up. It does go into darkness. That's pretty decent. Charge up again into nature. Not bad. We'll bring out a skeleton in front of her skeleton. She could remove it with a spell, of course, but I'm not really too worried about it. We did need something next to Rigette because Nergigante's nature was ready for a hunt. Okay, discard into green. That could be... No, it's Growth Vine coming out. Okay, Rigette kills that immediately and comes back in the hand, refunding its cost. Now, she could bring out a creature now that... yep, and she does. Okay, so now that my Rigette is out... Now we could bring out Masked Field or Rigette again. I think we'll go for Rigette again because Nergigante seems to be having difficulty dealing with it. And we will continue to charge up. So the skeleton's going to kill our opponent's skeleton, and that's going to give us a lot of damage on the board. And you can see that we've already evened out the resource, evened out the HP. Resource-wise, we're doing really nicely. So let's see. I mean, Rigette's ability to refund resources, Dragon's Guardian's ability to give us resources, it's really, really nice. We got to kill her Growth Vine, for example, for free, basically, because Rigette refunded her cost. So let's see what Nergigante does. A lot of battles are going to go like this once you brought Rigette out onto the field in a well-defended position. Your opponent needs to really, really think hard. It's amazing what a difference having Rigette out onto the field makes. You don't think that it's particularly disruptive until you go up against one yourself and you suddenly realize, oh, actually, I can't really play anything here. So let's see. Still thinking. It's a difficult thing to deal with. Out of curiosity, what would our next thing be? Jack. That's 11, doesn't count. 10, doesn't count, we only have 6. 8, doesn't count. 4. Dragon Hunter Jack. We may actually bring Dragon Hunter Jack out, actually. In fact, you know what? I think we will. So the Bullet of Illusion skeleton, obviously, that's quite expensive on her part, so we're okay with that. And she charges up. I think actually we are going to bring out Jack. So let's charge, see if it goes into nature. It doesn't. That's unfortunate. We'll discard the Dragon's Guardian. With her grave cost, she's not really very viable at the moment. And we'll bring out Jack. Jack summons a trap in front of the imp, and this is the issue with Jack. Suddenly you're in a situation where you're like, do I remove the trap to save my creature? Or do I focus on removing Jack? Or what do I do? Also, Jack does meet HP breakpoints, and of course he's protected against stuff like Firewall and things like that. He's got a high enough attack value for that. He doesn't meet Surprise Attack breakpoints or Command Hunting breakpoints, of course, but our opponent doesn't have Light and doesn't have enough for a Command Hunting, and there's no creature in the middle anyway, and Rigette kind of shuts down creature play. Magician Masked Field comes out. Rigette is going to nobble Anna and go back into the hand. We're okay with that. Next turn, I'm thinking Furora, actually. I'm thinking Furora. So we have 11 darkness. We're okay for that. So let's see. We're not too worried about Dragon Hunter Jack. There's no way Magician Masked Field can kill Jack before Jack kills the Magician, and he's obviously going to summon traps in front of Anna as soon as she comes back out of her box. So let's bring out Furora on the far side. If she goes down, that will kill the Masked Field, but it won't kill Jack, so we're not too worried about it being removed. Although it, as far as Nergigante is concerned, she kind of has to be. But removing the Furora kills Masked Field and gives Jack an opening. And of course we can take one hit from Anna when she comes out of the box, and then at the end of our next turn, Jack's going to just summon a trap in front of her. She'll run into that and immediately die because there's no Magician Masked Field out on the out for her to be revived by. So our opponent's thinking about it again. I think he pretty much sees that he has to remove Furora. Discard into nature. So yeah, we can see the hunt's coming out. Out comes the hunt. The Furora dies. Takes care of the Masked Magician. Does not take care of Jack. Now, our opponent could... Well, she can't this turn, but she can next turn revive and once again use a Bullet of Illusion, but that's going to get really expensive now. So, we can bring out a whole bunch. Our opponents found it very difficult to deal with Rigette, so that might be an idea, but I think we'll just bring out Magician Masked Field. We'll flood the deck a little bit. Or flood the field, I should say. I think there's a firewall that our opponent is waiting to use. And it would be useful to us to get that out of the way. Anna's going to survive, of course, because we always play Magician Masked Field as far to the right-hand side as possible. So that Anna always dies first and Magician Masked Field gets a chance to resurrect her. Yeah, so there's the firewall. That's pretty much expected. Anna survives, goes into the cutting box. Our other two creatures die. We don't really care about that. We massively out-resource our opponent. Anna gets one shot off, but we can simply bring out Rigette and the Goblin Bomb Squad. So the Bomb Squad will kill Anna. The Rigette's on the field, and we charge up, and our opponent forfeits. There's just nothing they could do there. So, well played to Gigante, and looking forward to Monster Hunter World. Woo! And that's the end of the video. Hunter Rigette! Woo! I do love her, and I'm just getting more and more into the card the more I play with it, I must admit. So if you would like to try this deck out in your own game, there's correct. There's the share code up in the top right-hand corner, as always. If you do decide to give it a try, let me know how it runs with you. Any sort of combos you've come up with on your own behalfs, any adjustments you make to this deck. If you don't like Rigette, let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, while you're down there, please feel free to smash those like and subscribe buttons. I really appreciate it, and it helps me get this content out every week, ideally. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, because I know you did, because you're great people, all of you. Is the guilt trip working? Doesn't matter. I will see you peeps in the next episode.